Nếu bạn mong muốn học hỏi nhiều hơn, bạn sẽ hiểu biết nhiều hơn. Growing up during the Vietnam War, I was caught in battlefields and witnessed death, torture, destruction, and human suffering. And I never understood why, and still don't today, why people continue to hurt each other and war continue to go on. My father would say that the conflicts usually is caused by disagreement, misunderstanding, assumptions, or fears, and many other things. For example, when we received orders to leave the houses, so every single people had to leave the house. And in our culture, every single man had to stay back in the house to protect the outer. And so the bombing stopped and it's over, and military men would just go in and search every single house. They caught every single guy in the house. And they tied them up, they tortured them in front of children. And I could see my brother's friends who happened to stay back in the house, and these are guys who came to my house playing ping pong with us all the time, and now they torture them in front of us. And my father, who was a contractor for the American Air Force and who could speak English at the time, so he went there and explained to the military officers that it's a, these are just a guy who just stay back to take care of the house. And through that communication, eventually they released these men. And so my father always said, we need to open up the communication. That's the only way we can understand each other. And once we understand each other, we have empathy to each other. And that's how we can stop the war. When I first came to this country, I had nothing. I was picked up from a ship. When I was put in a refugee camp, I literally had just one set of clothes on me. That's all I had. And when I came to this country, I had nothing else except just like a luggage of clothes got from the charity organization, and I was on welfare. At the time, I lived in a very, very poor neighborhood, and I also saw many kids in that broken home, and many kids also hopeless and helpless, just like the kids I saw in Vietnam. And then later I saw many other pictures of kids around the world also hopeless and helpless. And I said, we could do something. We have to do something. We have to change the world. I thought so, but later I realized we cannot change the world, but we can make a difference if we try. And so I kept going back to school. Eventually, I got my doctorate from Harvard. But during that 20-something years, I always thought about these kids, and that's the only motivation that really keep me going. If I could become a lawyer, I could become a doctor, but to me, to be an educator, I could really help change the lives of many children. And over the years, these children are going to be adults, and if they are good citizens, they will get that good citizen can produce good children and continue going on. And if I can become an educator, I know I make a difference for so many children in the classroom. And if I can train the teachers to do the same thing like I did, then we can exponentially increase the effort to make a difference for children. I always ask my students, teachers, why you want to be a teacher? Many of them would say, because I want to make a difference for the children I'm working with. And yet you go to the classroom and we face, sometimes we don't have enough materials, the children come in, have no motivation, do not want to work, and then we face with administrators who impose so many difficult policies on you, and you face with MCAS or standardized tests, so many challenges that you face every single day you go to classroom. And yet every morning you get up, you go to class, and you want to make a difference for the children. And to me, they are hero. They are unknown hero. And yet, they facing every single day. To me, they are in a battlefield in a way. You know, no longer the battlefield is not just a gun and bomb, but the battlefields of diversity, of so many things going on. How can you overcome and reach out to these kids and make a difference? So what I want them to do is every single day when you go to bed, think about what you did right for the day. If you see any sparkle eyes of the child look at you, a happy smile on the face of the child look at you, every time you see something like that, make a mark on your journal. Make a mark, make a mark, a mark. And go to bed and smiling to yourself and say, I did a good job. My belief in education is an open communication and emphasize on empathy. And if we can train teachers, first have to look at the child as a person, not because they're smarter or not smarter, but as a person. And look at the child to see what the best about that child. Don't look at what they lack of, but what they could do or can do first, and go from there. And we face with challenge every day, every single day. And many children come to the school with so many backgrounds, many cultures, language, so many different things. But if we can open up that line of communication and we can look at the child as a whole, then we can make it. We can make a difference.